Today we're going to look at the common challenges. When we say common financial challenges, people think two things. Cash flow. Cash flow is very important because cash is king at that time in life because you need money for a couple of things. The other thing is that we happen to see a lot of people who have a lot of assets but don't have any cash. We see people who don't have revenue streams that are coming that way, and we're going to build on that discussion. But we can start by agreeing on a few things. If you want to be happy as you age, you need to say goodbye to a few things because that makes the money situation even worse. Because aging gracefully is not just about maintaining our physical health. It's also about preserving our happiness. So that there are some behaviors that get us not being happy, that get us to spend more money. So you see, as we grow older, our attitude and habits greatly affect our overall happiness. And our overall happiness affect our health and our well-being, and sometimes cost us a lot of money. And sometimes we knowingly hold on to behaviors that end up draining our joy and draining our finances. And what are these behaviors? Number one, we should never hold grudges. As we age, harboring feelings of resentment and anger can become a heavy burden. It has been said that holding a grudge is actually like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. So who gets sick? The person who is holding the grudge. When we get sick, what happens? We spend a lot of money. And so that becomes a challenge. When we are holding grudges, we find ourselves in poor health, and so when in poor health, we get drained. We drain ourselves and we drain the people around us. In reality, you end up suffering the most if you are holding the grudge. So emotional baggage can weigh you down and rob you of your happiness. It can cause stress, and even it is going to impact your physical health, and this is going to cost you money. So when you're looking at financial challenges, you can actually see if somebody stays much happier and healthy, then they will not have these issues. So let's learn to let go of grudges. It may not be easy. It is essential for the peace of mind. We must remember that forgiveness is not about letting the other person off the hook. It is about setting yourself free. If you forgive, you set yourself free. The other thing we're looking at is neglecting oneself. Life gets busy, and self-care often is one of the things that we let go. It's very easy to cram my schedule with work, family, commitment, social events, and leave very little time for myself. But as years pass by, you actually notice that your energy levels go down.
Exactly.
It's like you're running on empty. I think that's the thing. We say running on empty. And I'm sure you might have seen this quote. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you cannot pour from an empty cup, then you must take care of yourself. You might have realized that neglecting self wasn't just affecting your physical being, but also emotionally. And you may not be happy or fulfilled because you're not taking time to recharge and nurture yourself. So it is good to make a conscious decision to prioritize self-care. The other thing, self-care will cost us a bit of money. Because what is self-care as we age? It might be taking a relaxing bath and staying in the bathroom much longer. You drain the water, but you're going to feel good about yourself. It is about taking a walk. It's about meeting your old buddies. If you're able to take kanyama, together and you tell stories. These moments, what we call the me time, they rejuvenate a lot, but they might cost money. Because sometimes it might mean you're going to the coast, you're going to travel, you're going to be out of your routine places. But that re-energizes and nurtures the person. So we need to ensure self-care is not negotiable as part of our routine. In old age, the other habit that we must deal with is fear of change. Change is an inevitable part of life. Yet many of us resist it and cling to familiar things, even when it is not serving us well. But here's the thing. Embracing change rather than fearing it can be a game changer when it comes to aging happily. Did you know that human brain is actually capable of creating new brain cells and forming connections as people age? And your brain actually renews itself. So just because you've always done things in a given way doesn't mean you get stuck to that behavior. You must be ready to change. You have the power to adopt, grow, and change. Because sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we get things wrong because we are not changing. So by learning to overcome change, you open yourself to new experiences and new opportunities and new areas of happiness. So don't let fear hold you back. We can say goodbye to this behavior and embrace our potential that lies in every chapter of our life. Of course, one of the other things that we need to drop is comparing ourselves to others. In this age of social media, It's very easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others. And you don't have to be old to be doing that. This is very common. Comparison tends to rob us of our happiness. It distracts us from appreciating what we have and who we are. As we age, it becomes even more important to focus on our own journey and not anyone else's journey, because everybody's got a journey. So each of us has a unique path with different experiences, different challenges, and different achievements. So instead of comparing yourself to others, try comparing yourself to what you are yesterday. Am I better than I was yesterday? Because that becomes a good thing. So we just focus on own growth and progress. And by saying goodbye to this habit of comparison, we create space for gratitude and self-acceptance. And there's nothing as rewarding as living a life of gratitude and self-acceptance. Happiness is very, very correlated to our relationship with others and to our health. The hormones that the body generates when we are happy actually reinforces our body immunity.
Exactly.
The other habit is about overthinking. Overthinking is a trap many of us fall into. We replay scenarios in our head, we second guess our decisions, we worry about the future. However, overthinking doesn't solve problems. More often than not, it actually makes them bigger and it steals the peace of our mind. As we age, it is important to recognize that when we are stuck in a cycle, we must take steps and take a break. Whether it is through, mindful techniques or physical exercises or just diverting our focus to something positive, is always to quiet the mind and to quell the overthinking. Again, here we're looking at techniques, we are looking at physical exercises, we're looking at going out, we're looking at traveling, and so we need a bit of resources to do that. By letting go of our overthinking, we reduce stress and we reduce anxiety. The other habit we need to work on is ignoring our dreams. If I told you that it's never too late to chase your dreams, most people don't believe it. It's never too late. The dream we hold in our hearts. They are what gives us life, they give us color, direction, and purpose. Yet so often we sideline them due to fear, doubt, or simply getting caught up in the hustle and the bustle of life. So we give up our dreams. And I think there are a lot of examples of people, the things didn't work out well until much later in their life. When we talk about Colonel Sanders and KFC, I think that's a common story most people know. So there's always an opportunity in there. So when we ignore our dreams, we deny ourselves the joy and fulfillment that comes from pursuing something that we truly love. Like a bird ignoring the instinct to fly, it doesn't feel right. So we need to be able to grow that instinct so that we are able to fly. At any age, it is essential to keep our dreams alive. They keep us young at heart and they remind us of the endless possibilities that life holds. So whether it's starting a small business, learning a new skill, your dreams are worthy pursuing at any age. And so we should hold our dreams close, we should cherish them, nurture them, and most importantly, act on them. The other habit we look at is putting other people's needs before us. It's common that you find yourself commonly saying yes to others, even when it would have been better to say no. And you can overextend yourself to trying to meet everybody's expectations, and you neglect your own needs in the process. But over time, you realize that this approach is going to leave you emotionally drained and far from happy. So you can decide to change and you learn to say no when it is necessary, and you prioritize taking care of your well-being. So the truth is, taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is actually necessary. As we age, it becomes even more important to set healthy boundaries to ensure our needs are met. And maybe one of the things that can help us is dropping this habit of always dwelling in the past. Very common as we age, we keep saying in our days, the past can be a very tricky thing. It can be full of beautiful memories, but it can also hold moments of regret, missed opportunities, and mistakes. But no matter how much we revisit the past remains unchanged. We cannot change it. What it is what it is. So dwelling on the past, especially in the negative parts of the past, can prevent us from fully enjoying the present and can impact our happiness. Yes, you can look back to know the lessons, but we need to look ahead. So instead of holding on to the past regrets and mistakes, we can use them as stepping stones. We learn and we grow. So we need to remember every experience, whether it is good or bad, is part of our journey and has shaped the person we are today. So as we age, it becomes even more crucial to focus on the now, the present moment, because that's what we have. Looking back may not be helpful. And the other habit we want to look at is believing that happiness is tied in, but we need to look ahead. Common thing. People think, it's only young people who can be happy. One of the greatest misconceptions is that happiness fades as we age. But that's not true. The reality is happiness is not tied to youth or any specific age for that matter. In fact, research has shown that old adults often report higher levels of satisfaction and well-being compared to younger counterparts. The younger people still feel like they've not done it. Older people, sometimes they look back, they actually take gratitude, and they actually say, I think we've done well. Because as we age, we gain wisdom, we gain experience, we gain perspective, and we learn to appreciate the simple joys of life, and to get the trivial worries out of our way. So if you want to stay happy as you age, it's crucial to let go the belief that happiness diminishes with age. So happiness is not a destination but a lifelong journey. And it is entirely possible to find joy and fulfillment at every stage. And we must agree that age is just but a number. I know people say it's a fallacy, but it is true.
It is true.
You are as old as you feel.
Exactly.
And we must remember, every stage of life holds its unique beauty and opportunities of growth. So whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, even 80s, embrace the journey. And this is why, for us to be able to deal with the challenges, we must start thinking about doing the investments for us. Because at the end of the day, a happy life isn't about how many years we live, but how we live those years. Now, there are quite a number of other additional factors at play, and it is important to take time and understand them, and now understand the challenges they cause. The first one is about physical limitation. As human beings age, when age catches up with us, as we grow older, now we desire to be as active as when we were young, but may leave us with that feeling like we're getting some sidelines. Some of our friends or families enjoy activities we cannot be able to enjoy. They're jogging, they're playing golf, they're swimming in the ocean. Those are things we cannot. And sometimes we have nagging issues. There might be backaches, blood vision, hearing loss, forgetfulness, and all those things can set in. Now, also, the immune system can weaken and make the older person more susceptible to infections. These physical ailments will lead to medical prescriptions, which sometimes have side effects that can leave the person feeling far away from the young person they have. Now, we need to understand that times change and we need to be careful. But what that means is you have things you were doing before you can now not be able to do. You are such a great surgeon, but your hands are shaking. You don't have the vision. So where you are generating the money yourself, you're not capable of generating the money. Accepting that limitation says you must be ready to hand over. Now, the other area is about hormonal changes, and that hormonal changes play a huge role in the equation. You feel out of energy, and it is common to have emotional outbursts that leave everyone around them wondering what's going on. So you find your children want to take care of you, but you're just being hostile. I've heard this statement many times about toxic parents, and I've always wondered, when do they become toxic? And what is this toxicity? And what happens? A lot of times is failing to understand these changes. And they can be very expensive. You actually see children just leave parents on their own. Now, the consequences are not good. Now, of course, these hormonal fluctuations, they can cause issues like baldness. You're getting bald and you're spending a lot of money trying to fight that baldness. Excessive weight gain or weight loss, pain in the joints. And if you don't understand how to deal with those hormonal changes, can you see what we're going to do? Spend a lot of money trying to fight those things. So it is important for all of us to have patience with old people. And old people need to have patience with themselves. Now, the other thing is about significant lifestyle changes. Acceptance is a hard thing, especially when we're old. So sometimes it's hard to accept the changes that have occurred around the ones we love also. Not ourselves, even the ones we love. The ever-changing world can be overwhelming. It can be quite painful because you lose friends, you lose loved ones. Unfortunately, as you age, you tend to lose more people. I think because you lived a bit longer. And always, there are losses, loss of a career. Sometimes loss of purpose in life. You are giving back to society, now you're not able to give back to society. And there are also environmental changes. They are you can be forced to move from the home. You've actually been living in the city all these years. And now you have to go to the rural setup. And you try very hard to adapt there, and it gets very difficult. You've been in the city for your last 50 years, and you're trying to go to the rural setup to set up. And there are people now who take advantage in a big way. How many times have we seen people go to the rural areas and people come and say, oh, we will make you the MCA, we will make you this. And they actually just dive in and they start cutting away what the person has. Sometimes losing freedom to choose. You don't have the choice of where to live on all those. And this can be depressing for a lot of people. So a a lot of times you find you have a new lifestyle that you have to adopt that's going to cost you money maybe that you hadn't planned for. And that becomes another big challenge and brings a lot of financial challenges. I think the other issue is adapting to the modern world. When you think about it, there are some aging men and women who thrive for new technologies and emerging world, but there are many who cannot stand it. They may put forth a valiant effort to adopt and learn new skills, such as how to use the latest and the greatest cell phone or apps like Zoom, but they are faced with technical difficulties and make them quite agitated and grumpy. There are people, their phone is for calls. Now everybody wants you to go on Zoom, on Google Meet. They're sending you a document on WhatsApp and they're saying, "No, we sent it to you." You told them, "Bring me that document." Now they're not bringing it. And there's a lot of older people who actually get very irritated by this. But unfortunately, the world is just changing. So there are many who feel the modern world has left them behind. They are outdated and their old methods for living have lost cost. Now, we are doing mobile banking and older people don't do mobile banking. And so what happens? When you physically show up at the bank, they actually charge you for showing up. So you find you're running costs that you should not be running because of the way the system is. So resisting in moving forward and accepting what is the present moment will leave older people angry and depressed. So it is good to help them move along. It is good to think about security issues around like their finances, their identity theft. Thinking about organizing security around the older person is important, because if you don't do that, they will keep losing their finances. You are sent 2,000 shillings by the government, somebody has withdrawn it, and so now you don't have it. Or you send somebody to the bank and they have actually withdrawn part of your money, and you almost have no way of telling that. So that changing world and the way things are being done differently creates a lot of challenges for older people. But again, that is where the world is heading. This is another one that's not very common, but that can be another challenge. Retirement homes. We don't have a lot of that, but we can tell we are heading there as a society. If you take your parents live in a retirement home, normally when you visit them, you find they are in a terrible mood and they are not happy. Maybe they are tired of trying to be polite to caretakers. They are sick of tired of food. You know, like even if you stay in a 7-star hotel with all the good food, you know how long it takes you to just feel you don't want that food anymore. A week is too long. So can you imagine you are taken back to high school? You know, in your high school days you had the energy, and so the githeri and the beans didn't bother you. But assume that becomes the food that you have to deal with all the time. So when we're thinking about going to retirement homes, we need to be able to know that that can become obviously a challenge. And there are many people who will miss staying in their home, because retirement homes can be difficult for almost anybody. The challenge here is, how do we deal with this issue? That we need to live in a more comfortable place, but the common retirement homes are not working. And this is where private retirement homes are coming in. And that means then you need to have the resources, because they are putting in the right infrastructure. Maybe they have a nursing home to take care of you. They might give you your own house where you can live in. They are visiting hours. You'll be able to have time with the others. When you look at the Japanese villages, or I think in Japanese and Italian villages where people live much longer, what they've actually done, they have found a way of keeping older people together. As you can see, there are a couple of things, there are challenges that we face, and that is why as we prepare for the old age, it's important to say, where will my money come from and how much will I need? It is important to actually find out how much you need. And we always say, if you are living a good life and you're happy with what you're doing, all you need to do is to put in a factor of inflation and project it upwards and answer the question, where will it come from? But it's also important to say, where will I be spending my day? And it is no wonder a lot of people choose to stay on the farm. And sometimes the farm can be rewarding. Fresh air, if you've got the right kind of activities there, you have something to do yourself, you have ritual activity, you can walk into the sun. And so it requires quite a bit of money to be able to put those things. And that is where we say to people, these are things we need to prepare early, okay? Because as human beings, we are magnets of energy. So it is important to consider that the environment where we are, we should be able to enjoy the energy. We need to prepare much earlier. Because old age is a gift most people look forward to. We're looking forward to living more. But to have comfort and dignity is paramount, and having our own finances and resources becomes very important. And that is why we need early preparation. And so I want to give a chance, and I love giving this chance. I think I have about 5 chances. And we give it to the first person who calls or texts. You can text or WhatsApp 0708 150 137. 0708 150 137. In the meanwhile, if you want to read something on your own, you can get yourself a copy of my book called Wallet Words, and Bramwell will always tell you something about the book. And if you just call the number 0708 150 137, we can arrange to get you a copy of that book. It's